stress thing is so interesting because, like, I read that study that, like, 50% of people are stressed at work. So you think about the average workday and everyone in your environment, you're like 50% of you are stressed. I mean, I'm stressed, but like separate. But I'm thinking about that and I'm like, there's so many things that cause stressing, like stressors outside of work really do impact what you said, like your day to day in work, like financial stress is a big one. And
Yep.
so like we've seen people when the student loan debt was, or your student loans were paused for 2 to 3 years and now we're unpaused. People are looking at the cost of living, their loans having to be repaid, and that stress is like adding up and it shows up at work. And so I was thinking about this a lot as I was like preparing for our conversation today, like what I want to talk about and how, but how have you seen our role as HR practitioners to actually evolve and care more about well-being than ever before? Because it feels like in the past, it wasn't a focus.
It wasn't, but I think, again, you got to go back to the origins of the profession. The origins of our profession was one that was administrative in nature, right? They needed someone. If you go back to early on and before HR was even HR, it was called personnel. And it was birthed out of this environment where administration and compliance essentially had a baby called personnel, right? And the idea there was like, how do you do the things like who's tracking when people punch the clock, right? And so the profession itself has evolved from being administrative and compliance driven, from being personnel driven, from being employee satisfaction driven, from being human resources driven. There's still some companies out there that are focused on employee engagement. And I'm like, that's not enough anymore. You gotta talk about fulfillment. How fulfilled are people in the workplace? The more you are fulfilled, the more impact you can create. And for those that are like, Donald, like, I don't really get the whole squishy, feel good type stuff. Okay, cool.